Muted.
Start. Now I have started recording. At the bottom you can see with the red dot, right? The session is being recorded. That message is displaying. Okay. So if you don't see that message, please remind me to record the session. Okay. Okay. Let's get started with the session. Today we'll be discussing about inheritance. Okay. Today we'll discuss about inheritance. We'll understand what exactly is an inheritance, and so how does your access specifiers affect inheritance. Okay, and we will understand what is a user relationship, how user relationship is being defined by inheritance, and then super keyword. We will understand what is a super keyword, what are the uses of super keywords with respect to inheritance. Okay, we'll try to cover all these things. Are you all able to hear me? Okay, yeah, let's get started with this session. Okay. Okay, in the last session, we understood something about methods, classes, all those things. So let's get started with inheritance. So whenever we hear the word inheritance, what exactly comes to your mind? Can anyone raise your hand to say like what exactly comes to your mind whenever you see inheritance? So you might have heard your parents saying like, okay, you behave like your dad, or you behave like your mom, like that, right? So you might have heard. What does that mean? Uh, you might have got something, some characteristics of your parents from your in you with respect to that particular characteristic, right? So you behave. Yeah, Tina is telling some traits of our parents is correct. So some characteristics of our parents we would have got it, and at specific times, right, we might have expressed those things. The same we might have displayed the same behavior which our parents behave in such scenarios, right? So that when your parents see that one, they'll say, okay, yeah, you behave exactly like your dad, your grandfather, your mom, or your grandmother, like that. So that same concept applies to programming also. Okay. Yeah, he is telling acquire attributes and properties. Yes, correct. Acquiring attributes and properties of classes with respect to programming language. All right. So that's what. So what is the inheritance does for us? Okay, we how does it help us? We use inheritance for creating hierarchical classification. Okay, hierarchical classification. So why exactly inheritance is used? We generally use inheritance for creating a more general class. Okay, what is this more general class? We in this particular general class, we define some of the traits or some of the characteristics or some of the attributes or characteristics and other things which are common to a particular set of objects. Okay, particular set of objects. Okay. Yeah, Kavita, we will understand what is overriding all those things in this particular topic. Okay, and this may not be in this particular session, but under inheritance only. Okay, and so what exactly we define a general class. So in general class, what exactly we do? We define some of the common attributes or characteristics for a set of objects. when we will try to understand these things programmatically by writing some programs, okay, some examples. Through some examples, we will try to understand what are all these things, okay. So once, what you have to do first, you have to first define a general class, okay, that defines your common attributes or characteristics or traits, okay, traits. Then once you define this general class, you inherit that general class to create subclasses or specific classes. Specific classes, okay. You inherit the general class which you created containing or which defines common attributes or characteristics, okay, common attributes and characteristics. Using this general class, you create subclasses or specific classes, okay, you create specific classes, okay. There are two terms associated with this one with respect to classes. One is superclass and another one is subclass, okay. So what is a superclass? A class that is inherited is called as superclass. That is a class which defines general attributes, okay, that is called a superclass. A class that does inheriting or which inherits a superclass is called as a subclass. Defines specific attributes. Defines specific attributes to this particular subclass. It may or may not, okay, but the basic idea is to create specific subclasses out of superclass. We use inheritance, okay, we use inheritance. So what exactly happens when you try to inherit a superclass in subclass, okay. So with that definition, what we can say is, so this is the main thing, okay. The subclass is a specialized version of a superclass, With an example, we will try to understand what exactly all these things mean, okay, no need to worry. What is a subclass? It's a specialized version of superclass, okay. So what happens when you inherit? Subclass inherits all the instance variables and methods defined inside superclass, okay, So whatever you have defined in superclass, say for example you have a class A, and whatever you have defined, so this is a subclass, assume that this is a subclass and this is a superclass. Whatever you have defined here, all those things are available in subclass, provided you have right access levels, okay, right access. Okay, you have right access, okay. So not only that one, so when you inherit A in B, all the definition, whatever definitions that you have in A will be visible here or will be included here. Not only that one, you can define your own instance variables or your own methods inside subclass, okay, which is specific to this particular subclass, okay. That is what it says, adds its own unique elements or attributes to become more specific class, okay. Subclass is nothing but a specialized version of superclass. So whatever the instance variables or methods that you define in superclass are visible here, provide access to those members in superclass, but you can also define your own attributes specific to this particular subclass. That is B. In our case, it is B. Okay, and then not only that one, so you can use superclass on its own. It exists on its own. You can use subclass on its own. Okay, it does not matter whether subclass, you can use subclass on its own. Like it actually has a definition of superclass, right? We can concentrate only on superclass. So it does, when subclass inherits superclass, it does not mean that it cannot exist independently. It can exist independently. Or some other class, which is not a subclass of this particular class, can use superclass as any other normal class. Okay. So not only that one, a subclass can be a superclass of another class. Okay. Say for example, I have class A. Okay, class B. Assume B inherits A. A is superclass of B. Okay, and there is another class C. C superclass is B. B can be a superclass of C, class C, and this can go any like Z. I have Z class. D, superclass of D is C. Superclass of E is D. Superclass of Z is Y. It can any level is possible. Okay, any level is possible. So subclass can be a superclass of another class. Okay. Let me know if you have any doubts or if you need anyone needs any clarification with this particular slide. I'll try to explain it. Okay. Okay. Let's move on to the next slide. So how do we say like one class inherits other class? So in syntactically, we use the keyword extends. Okay, extends. Yeah, Kavita, correct. We use the keyword extends. Okay, the syntax is this one. Say for example, you have a superclass. Okay, this is your superclass. You define class as any other class. Okay, any other class. How you define a class? You can define the same way. Superclass you define it, but when you are when you are defining a subclass, when you are defining a subclass, you use this particular extends keyword followed by superclass name. That is class extends. This is your double quotes. You won't use double quotes here like we have used here. So superclass name, class name, and the rest of the things are same. How you define your members of subclass, all those things. But important thing to note here is so what are the things that we'll be able to see inside your subclass? All in superclass instance variables and methods. Okay, this we always attach a star to that statement. Okay, let us attach 2 stars. Okay, because access specifiers come into play. Okay, based on these access specifiers, respective instance variables and methods are visible inside your subclass. Okay, apart from those things which are from your superclass, you can define any instance variables and methods within your subclass. It is like you have a subclass. Okay, whatever the instance variables or methods that are visible, okay, of superclass, those definitions will be there here, plus subclass definitions. Okay, superclass definitions plus subclass definitions. definitions, declarations. Okay. So that's what the members of subclasses will be the instance variables and methods of superclass which are visible inside your subclass, plus any instance variables and methods defined or declared within your subclass. Okay. Let us see an example for this. Okay. Let us see an example for this. Okay. So let us take two examples. One is your superclass and then your subclass. Okay. So what do we have here? We have two integers. Integer private int I, private int I, private int j. Okay. We have setters and getters for int I and j. I and j, and then we have what is known as your another method which displays the values of I and j. Okay, you have int I and j defined, and display ij. This will display your I and j values. Okay. So we are using setters. We will set the values of I and j. Okay, but remember this is private. Okay, integers are private. Okay, let us see what is our subclass has. Okay, so we have private integer k. Okay, and we have set getter and setter, and we have another method int ijk. Okay, we are using in display ij and print k. Okay, print k. So remember, we are able to use this particular method here. Okay, because we have this method public. This method is public. That's why we are able to use it here. Okay. While printing ijk, we will first print I and j, which is defined in our superclass, and then we will print k. Okay. So here, this is a subclass which extends your superclass. Superclass is nothing but here. This is the superclass. Okay. So let us try to run this with one example and see what exactly happens. Okay. This is the inheritance example class which has the public static void main. Okay, so here we are defining objects, that is subclass object, and setting the values of I and j, k. Okay, and then we are trying to display ij and ijk. Okay, since this is a subclass object, we are able to access ij, display ij, which is defined in your superclass. Why? Because display is a public method in your superclass. Display is a public method in your superclass. That is why the definition of display is available in your subclass. So whenever we create an object of subclass, we will be able to access display ij, which is defined in your superclass as public method. Okay, and anyway this display ijk is defined in your subclass. Okay, display ijk is defined in your subclass. So we are we are directly using this particular method, right? We are directly using this particular method. This is similar to like you have another method. Another method like let me copy paste here. So the definition is like this. When you extend this public member, right? This particular public member, not only this particular public member, all the particular public members, right? You can access those things within your subclass. Or it is like all this, assume that all these definitions, whatever the public definitions are there, they are available here. It is like this. For example, it will be like this. It will be like this. It is like, so what you are saying, so we have all these things, okay? The definitions defined, all these things are defined in your superclass. Then subclass extends superclass. All these definitions will be like this. We will not be able to see these definitions inside your subclass, but they are available in your superclass. Okay, so it is similar to like this. I mean, like how you define a subclass. It is, say for example, you have defined any subclass. Say for example, all these definitions, right? Not only this. And all these things. Subclass will be like this. Okay, so subclass will be, but you have to remember one thing. You have to remember is, so it is like private members will not be visible. Okay, they are not accessible. Okay, they are not at all accessible. Apart from private members, this is the private member specific to subclass. Okay, this is specific to subclass, but all other public definitions. So you can see getK, getSetK, IJK, IJ, and other definitions, like we have seen these things, right? So we have seen these things, setJ, display, and other things. All these things will be visible inside your subclass. It is like, it will be like this. Definition will be like this. All your public members will be available inside your subclass, plus anything that you define in your subclass. That's what will be available in your subclass. Okay. Apart from these things, any default members. Okay. Apart from these things, any default members plus something called as protected members will be available inside your subclass. So which are all the members that will be available in your subclass? Protected, irrespective of your packages. Second one, default within particular package. Okay. And we have public members. Okay, all these things will be available inside your subclass, but you should remember these things. Okay, this one. So if I define a class with default access, okay, all the classes within that particular package can access those default members. Subclass, I'm talking about subclasses. Okay, but private, what does private mean? It is private to the class in which it is defined. Private to the class in which it is defined. You can access the private member within that class in which it is defined. Nowhere else you can access those private members. Okay. If you want to access those private members, you should be there should be an interface to access that private member. For example, like public methods. We define public methods, right? Public methods. So through public methods, you can access, you can either manipulate or whatever you want to do with the private members, you can do those things. Okay. So these are the ways in which these are the members which will be available in your subclass when you define a subclass of a particular superclass. Okay. So let us try to run this particular program. So here we have defined a superclass object, and then we have set ij, and we can display I and j, but we cannot use ijk because ijk is a method which is defined in your subclass. Okay, ijk is a method which is defined in your subclass. That is why you cannot call display ijk from your superclass object. Okay, yeah, Kavita has a question. Let me unmute. Okay, yeah, go ahead, Kavita.
Yeah, I mean I have like in superclass or in subclass we have written the instance variable as private. So usually and we have written setters and getter to access those values. But in real time, like we use setter or we initialize the instance variable in constructor or and only we get the values, or we use setters also to initialize the values.
Yeah, it depends. Okay, it depends on the requirement. Okay, so whenever you define any object, obviously there will be I mean, it again depends on your requirement. When you want to create an object, if you want to initialize that object, why do we use constructor to create an object with some initialized values, right? Instance variables. So when you have such scenarios, right, that time you will create a respective constructor, and when you are creating an object of that particular class, you will pass those parameters to constructor and create an object. Okay, so even with that constructor also, you can have setters and getters. Okay, there may be scenarios where you will be provided access only to access the values, not setting the values. In that case, you may have to set those values using your constructor. Setters will not be there, but you'll be held up with, or you'll be having only option of setting the instance variables is your constructor, or you'll be having default constructor and setters will be provided to you to set the values. Okay, it again, all these things depend on the requirements, like how you particularly design your application. Okay.
Okay.
So basically, what exactly we do, normally what exactly we do, we will make all our instance variables private, and we provide either ways to manipulate these private members, instance variables, if at all that is needed, through your public methods or through constructors for setting. You can use constructors for setting, or you can have setters for setting those things. It again, all these things depend on how you design your application and how you design your class. So what are the things that you need to consider while designing your class? All those things matter when you come up with your particular class design. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, one more question. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, one more question I have. And in the display IJK method, do we have to write K, or we have to write get K method there? I mean,
you can use both. You can use both. You can use both.
okay. I
This
mean,
is
it
a
doesn't
member.
make. I mean, it doesn't make any difference. Like, it is all like
Exactly.
the same value it is giving.
Yeah, exactly. It is the same value that you get here. So here I have defined K. So I am using K here. I don't need to use. Don't need to go through K, get K to display here. For example,
Okay.
if this subclass is extended by some other subclass. Okay. Say for example. Okay. Okay. I'm extending that subclass. Okay. Subclass of subclass. This is a subclass of subclass. In this class, if I want to sorry. Got it? You cannot access directly K here, right? You cannot access K directly here or J directly here because they are all private members. Ij and K are all private members of this class and this class, but that is why you cannot access that particular those particular instance variables within this. So that is why we have to go through these methods, public methods, and note here very important point here. So with respect to this one, right? I'm not creating any object of superclass or subclass here to access these methods. Okay, since I'm accessing or extending subclass inside this subclass of subclass, these method definitions are available inside your this class. Okay, why? Because these are all public members of superclass. Okay, this one and this one. This is public member of your subclass. Okay, so what is actually happening? So since all these things are public members, these all are available inside your, the definitions are available inside your subclass of subclass. Okay, subclass of subclass. In the sense, it is like you have defined these methods, get I, j, k, all these things inside this particular class itself. You are not able to see, but through your subclass and superclass, they are available. Those definitions are available inside your subclass of subclass. That is why we are able to access those methods inside your subclass of subclass without creating any object of superclass or subclass. Okay, but we cannot access the private instance variables. For example, okay, not only private instance variables. Okay. 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 So is it available inside your subclass? Let us try to access it. Try to print that. What is the method name? So it shows errors. Right. Let us say another. Let us define another method. Am I able to access this method inside the subclass? Yes, I can access it because subclass and superclass are within the same package, right? For example, if I create another, okay, let us not create here. Let us create inside our test. Okay, so okay, this is outside of the package where subclass is defined. Okay, outside of this particular package. Okay, so let us see what are all the things that we can access here. Okay, we don't need to create that one. Let us see. Let us create this object itself. Okay, I have created this. Dot, you can see. Okay, this I can do. This I can do. This I can do. This I can do. Okay, let us try these things only. Not available through this. Exactly. Okay. So when I run this, I can get the value. I'll get the values. Okay. So whatever the values I have set here, I'll get it. But what about other methods? Obviously, we'll not be able to access this private method. Okay. But what about this method? Will we be able to access this method? This is a default. This is a default method, right? Will I be able to access that one? Will I be able to access this? No, I will not be able to access because default numbers are visible only within your packages. Once you move out of that one particular package, they becomes private. So we will not be able to access that default number. Okay. What about these public members? What are public members? I can access all the public members in this. Okay. I have already accessed all these public members. So I'm using this one. So let us try to print this one here after setting. Okay. Display. So I'll display individually first, and then I'll display the values ij using I comma j. Okay. So I've used all the public members here, which are defined inside your subclass, but none of the default or private members are visible inside your this particular class. But whereas this class, okay, this is within the same package. Superclass and subclass are within the same package. That is why I will be able to access this method, which is your default method. I have not specified any access specifier to this one. That's why it is a default method. I named it as such. And this method is accessible within this particular class subclass because both subclass and superclass are part of same package. That is our this thing. If it is confusing too much, don't worry about this as of now. When we discuss about packages, we will see these things again. Okay, we will revisit this particular concept again. Okay, but as of now, if both the default is any default number is public within a particular package, means it is like you can consider like this particular is defined as this particular member is defined as public void. This is default method within this particular package. Okay, within this particular package, this is defined like public void. This is default method within the package. Remember, within the package. Once you move out of this particular package, for example, like this, now I'm not inside the package 26 now. So default members will become private. So for this particular class, this definition will be private void. This is default method for this class. Why? Because package is test, not session 26. Okay. For this class, the definition will be public void. This is default method. Okay. Did everyone get this concept? Anyone has any, or anyone need any clarification? Okay. So that is what I was trying to explain. So now we know how to define subclass using extends, and we know how which are all the members which are visible inside your subclass along with your subclass members. So if we see this particular class, right, we have all these members, and inside your subclass you can access all public members that are defined here. Okay. Also, since this is within the same package, all default members plus all protected members. If at all I define, we will define protected later. So with respect to inheritance, protected will be, we will see what exactly that does mean. Okay, with respect to inheritance in later class. Okay, so as of now, default and public members will be visible inside this particular subclass because both are superclass and subclass are part of your session 26 package. Okay. Let's move to next slide. So as we have seen, we will have superclass and subclass, right? So it is not like we have to use superclass for only one class. Okay, we can create any number of subclasses using this particular superclass. So that is the essence of this particular inheritance, right? What do? We basically create a superclass with attributes. Set of objects. Okay, attributes common to set of objects. We will see an example. Okay, attributes common to set of objects. Okay, attributes common to set of objects, not just a single object. That means with this superclass, we can have any number of subclasses. Okay, we can have any number of subclasses, each class providing their own specific implementation along with the definitions provided in your superclass. Okay, along with the definitions provided in your superclass. Okay. So just excuse me, just for reference. Okay, C++ is also an object-oriented programming language. Okay, object-oriented programming language. What does C provide? Say for example, you have A, B, C. Okay. Say for example, you have C. This is a C class. It can extend A class as well as B class. This is in your C++. Okay, this is your C++. it can extend both classes A and B. So A and B become superclass of C. Okay, A and B become superclass of C. But in Java, yes, correct, Kavita. So this is called as multiple inheritance. This is called as multiple inheritance. Okay. C++ allows multiple inheritance. Don't worry about this thing. Just to compare, I'm just telling this. Okay. C++ allows multiple inheritance with respect to your classes. With respect to your classes. Okay. Multiple inheritance with respect to your classes. But Java allows only. It won't allow multiple inheritance. Java won't allow. Java won't allow multiple inheritance with respect to classes. There are other ways to achieve, other means to achieve multiple inheritance. We will see that one later. Okay, we will see that one later. So, what this particular statement says, multiple inheritance is not possible in Java. Okay, only a subclass, any subclass can extend. Okay, only one class. That means if I have A, B, and C, and if I'm trying to extend C extends A, comma B. This is not allowed. You can extend C extends B, B extends A. Now, this is called as multi-level inheritance. Multi-level. Okay. What is happening? A is extended by B and B is extended by C. Okay. In a way, C will have all the members or attributes of B and A. We just saw one example, right? We just saw one example. So this one, this is extending subclass. Okay, subclass is extending superclass. So what is exactly happening here? Superclass is being extended by subclass. It is extended by okay. So whatever the public members that are available, whatever the public members that are available inside your superclass or subclass, they are available inside your subclass of subclass. Okay, that is what is meant by this particular statement. Okay. So this is what is called as hierarchy of inheritance. Okay, hierarchy of inheritance. Hierarchy of inheritance is allowed in Java. Okay, but multiple inheritance is not allowed. That is, we are talking about classes. Okay, and one more important rule we have to remember is no class can be a superclass of itself. Say you have class A. Okay, you cannot define class A extends A. Does not make sense, right? So what is the purpose of your inheritance? You are inheriting some common characteristics, attributes inside your subclass. If you want to extend the same class, that means if you are trying to do this one, it is like you are trying to access the attributes or characteristics of A inside A itself. It does not make sense, right? Right. So no class can be a superclass of itself. Okay, no class can be a superclass of itself. So things to remember is multiple inheritance is not possible in Java. No class can be a superclass of itself. Hierarchy of inheritance is allowed in Java. Okay, hierarchy of inheritance is allowed in Java. Okay, anyone has any doubts, questions? Okay, yeah, Kavita says no. Okay, let us move ahead. So we will see what is how does inheritance affect the member access. Okay, so we have already seen private means it is private to a particular class. Private means private to a class. It cannot be accessed outside of that particular class. Only class level in which it is defined. Private members can be accessed only within the particular class in which they are defined. Okay, that is why private we cannot access private members inside our subclasses. Inside our subclasses. Okay, but you can provide interface to access those private members through methods to manipulate or to get the values like getters or setters, or to set the values as Kavita told. You can use constructors as well. Use constructors as well. Okay, or you can set them within the class in which you have defined it if you don't want to change them. Okay, so what is the advantage we are getting out of inheritance? So what we are trying to do, we're trying to define common attributes inside your superclass, and then we define subclasses or specific classes out of that particular superclass. Okay, otherwise what we have to do, A, okay, say for example A and B are of same type, same thing. Okay, I will define int type is equal to something. So here if I want to define int I, same character is 10. So yeah, I'm duplicating this particular piece of statement, right? So inheritance allows us to, in one way it allows us to avoid duplication of code. Okay, so this is the essence of inheritance. Essence or important point to remember about inheritance. Why we use inheritance? To define common characteristics or general characteristics, attributes, whatever you call it, inside your superclass, and then based on the superclass, you define specific subclasses. So we know, right? This is what is our inheritance is all about. Specific class. Okay. Anyone have any questions with respect to this up to here? No one has any questions? Everyone understood whatever I've told till now? Okay. Yeah, that's what is member access. So this is the same thing. So we say the same thing again and again so that cements in our mind the concept itself. Okay. Common set of attributes. For common set of objects, we define common attributes. So we use subclasses for with unique attributes. Okay. So this is what is the basic concept of your inheritance. So let us see an example. Okay. So let us see a couple of examples for that matter. Okay. So say for example, I have an animal class. Okay. Animal can be anything. Okay. So I have taken only two things. One is cat and another one is dog. Okay. So animal, cat extends animal. Right. That means cat is an animal. You will see. Remember this one. Okay. When you say extends, right? The definition is cat cat is an animal. Can say cat is also. Okay. Is an or is a. Okay. Cat is an animal. Similarly, dog is also an animal. Okay. Cat is an animal. Dog is also an animal because both are extending animal class. Okay. So this is one simple example of your inheritance. Okay. Let us try to run this particular example. Okay. Not this one. Animal. Animal test. This is okay. So I have created animal object. I'm using, so whatever we have, right? We have a couple of methods. This is your constructor. This is your method. This is another method. Okay. And you have written inside cat. This is what is called as your overriding. We will explain that part as well. This is see the signature of this particular method. Okay, public void run. And here also you have the same thing. Animal also, sorry. Animal also you have the same thing. Public void run, public void eat. Okay. In cat, we have public void run, public void eat. Okay. And in case of dog also, we have public void run and public void eat. Okay. The signature is same. The signature is same. That's why this concept is called as overriding. We will see it has some interesting things associated with these things. Okay. Something called as the dynamic method dispatch. Okay. How Java resolves when you call a particular method on a particular object. Okay. We will see how which method is called. Okay, which overridden method is called is defined or determined by the type of the object. Okay, what is visible is defined by the type of your instance variable. Okay, so we will see all those things. So that is what cat is an animal and dog is an animal, and I have created animal object, I have created dog object, I have created cat object. Let us try to run this. Okay, so we are able to see here. So Initially, cat object will be created. I mean, animal object will be created. It runs. Okay, you can see here. Animal object has been created, and then animal runs, animal eats. New animal object has been created. Dog has been created. Dog is running. Dog is eating. These are important things. Okay, these things. Animal has been created, and cat has been created. Cat is running. Cat is eating. So remember, this is inside your animal. Okay, what does you infer from this output? First, when you create an animal object, okay, that time your constructor, animal object constructor is called. When you create a dog object, animal constructor is called. When you create a cat object, animal constructor is created. Animal constructor is called. Okay, because even without this, it should work. The output will be same. Okay, we will understand what is the super. Okay, so the output will be same. Okay, see here. First animal object. So animal object constructor is called animal object constructor, and then your dog object constructor, animal object constructor, and then your cat object constructor. Okay, why? Because inheritance, right? Because of your inheritance. You will not have characteristics of your parents if your parents does not exist at all, right? So first your parents should be there. Then only you will come into picture, right? That is the essence of this one. So first, whenever you are extending, the parent object or super object should be first constructed, and then your subclass object will be constructed. That is what is done here. We will see these things in our next class. All these things, okay? Excuse me. So this is one of the example. So real life example, if you want to consider, right? There are many such real life examples. Okay. For example, say if you want to kind of like consume your Amazon.com, right? There will be a number of products available. Okay, product is your parent class. A number of subclasses you can create based on your product types. Okay, say for example you have one particular product, for example electronics. Okay, so products. Okay, so in the products, what do you want to have electronics, or what do you say? Any other, like I'm not able to think. Food items. Okay, and office items. Okay, anything you can think of, all those things. Inside the electronics itself, you'll have any number of things, right? Musical instruments or music related products, or mobiles. Okay, and what else? Electronic books. Okay, whatever you can think of, whatever it is. Okay. Yeah, Kavita is telling one interesting thing here. So this is what she's trying to tell. Yeah, we will see that one, Kavita. Okay, so just I'll copy paste it here. Okay. Is telling this one. This is where your dynamic method dispatch will come into picture. It's an interesting thing. It's like lot of you should understand what are design patterns and all. Okay, your study of Java will not stop after you complete your core Java or your advanced Java. Okay, there are a lot of design patterns, core Java design patterns and the JEE design patterns, all those things. You have to study all those things, okay? Then you will understand what are those dynamic method dispatch. What does, when you override a method, how does, which method, which particular method will be resolved or which method will be called. Okay, all those things. We will discuss all those things in our next class, okay? So this is what she was telling. So this is also possible. Okay, this is also possible because I mentioned, right? What did I mention here? Cat is it defines, extends or inheritance defines is a relationship. It defines is a relationship. That is why you can assign, okay? So this is a subclass object, but this is a superclass reference variable. This is a superclass reference variable, okay? We are assigning a reference of subclass to a superclass reference variable. Okay, that is address of subclass object is assigned to superclass variable. Okay, we will see that one. We will cover that one. Okay, we will cover that. That also we will cover in a couple of minutes, few minutes. Okay, so that is what your inheritance. You create subclasses to define specific classes of a general class that is defined here using your superclasses. Okay, so yeah, that is what Kavita was telling. So we know, now we know that inheritance defines is a relationship between objects, among objects, not only between, it's among objects, set of objects. Okay, that is why a superclass variable or superclass reference variable can reference or store the reference of subclass object. That is what Kavita meant. Animal is equal to new dog. Not only this, we can assign animal is equal to new cat. I'll show you one interesting thing here. Okay, I'll show you one interesting thing here. So now we have different objects altogether, right? Animal is referring to animal object, dog is referring to dog object, cat is referring to cat object. Okay, when we run this program, obviously we will see cat has been created, cat is running, cat is eating. Dog has been created, dog is running, dog is eating. Because this is for dog, these are for cat. So when we say superclass variable can reference to a subclass object, we can do this way as well. Okay, is equal to dog. Okay, is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Now let us try to call animal dot run. Okay, animal dot eat. So what will be the output of these two methods? What will be the output of animal dot run and animal dot eat? Output of animal dot run and animal dot eat. Can anyone tell? Same as dog. Why same as dog? Kavita is telling same as dog. Yeah, Kavita, why same as dog? Because we are using animal reference variable, right? We are using animal reference variable. Why is it dog?
Because
Tina
we
is also
are
telling.
referring to dog. I mean,
You are referring to dog. Let us try to run this and see. Okay, so dog is running and dog is eating. Okay, so also we can do like this. Okay, same thing, you can copy paste this. So you can see here, dog is running, dog is eating, cat is running and cat is eating. Okay. So why is this happening? There are two things here. Okay. There are two important things. We will discuss this in detail in our next class also. There are two important things here. Okay. This
I mean,
is
the
your
methods are overriding their.
yes. Yes. We will discuss all these things in our next class. There are two things here which we need to understand. This is animal is type of variable or reference variable. We call it as reference variable because we store the references inside this variable. Okay. Type of reference variable. Animal type of reference animal variable is animal. Okay. This is one part, and this is your object part. This is your variable part or reference variable part. This is your object part. Your what object? Type of the object. Let me write it in a good way. Okay, you have two parts here. Okay, one is your reference variable. Reference variable part, and this is your object part because we use new to create objects. Object. So both are associated with something called as the type. Okay, this is both are associated with type. So the type of animal is animal in this case. Type of object is also okay in this case, the one which I have highlighted right now. Okay, but that may not be the same all the time, right? Here what we are doing here, this is your variable part. Okay, this is your actual object. This contains a reference to your dog object. This can also be written as Kavita told, is equal to new dog. If you want to assign a new dog object. Okay, so here you can define animal also. Animal is equal to new dog. Okay, so in this particular case, the object type is also animal and the reference type is also animal. That is reference variable type. But in this case, it is different. Okay, the object type is dog, which is subclass of. This is very important. Dog is a subclass of animal. Okay, and that is very important in assigning. Otherwise, incompatible type exception you will get. Okay, this is your type of reference variable. Since dog is an animal, you can do this one. You can do this one. But this is a dog object. Reference is assigned to your animal reference variable. Reference variable type is animal. Object type is dog. Okay. So now why are we explaining this? Very important thing. What is visible? What is visible or accessible is determined by type of reference variable. Okay, what is visible or accessible? I mean the members of a particular class. Okay, but which we will see what is this overridden method. Okay, overridden method. Which overridden method is called is determined by your type of, sorry about my handwriting, type of object. Type of object. Did you all understand these 2 points? This is the base of your something called as dynamic method dispatch. This is the base of your dynamic method dispatch, not this one, this one. Okay, that is why type of this object determines which run method and which each method is called. Type of this one determines which run method and each method is called, not the type of your reference variable. Here, this is referring to animal object. So obviously that is straightforward. Okay. In this case, it is straightforward. This is animal object. So sorry. When you call run and eat, it calls this method, these 2 methods. Okay. But these 2 are not straightforward. Animal object, animal reference variable is referring to dog object. Animal reference variable is referring to cat object. So the type of the object determines which run method and each method will be called. So here this is dog object, so this run and each method will be called. This is cat object, that is why this run and each method is called. Okay, hope this is clear. We will explain these things in another topic, that is dynamic method dispatch. Okay, so let us go to the next point. So this is what is all about what I was explaining just now. Superclass variable or reference variable can reference a subclass object, that is animal reference variable can refer to new dog or new cat. Okay, but this is what is important. This is what is important. Subclass object. Okay, it is subclass object, not any other object. Say for example, you have A and B classes. Okay, they are totally independent. Then you cannot say like A is equal to new B, where B is not at all a subclass of A. Okay, where B is not at all a subclass of A. You cannot do this way. This, if you want to do this way, B must be a subclass of A. Okay. Yeah, Shravant is asking the question. What is the advantage of doing animal is equal to cat? Yeah, I mean that's why the topic came into picture. That is your design pattern. So yeah, we will discuss all these things. Okay, we will discuss all these things. What Shravant is asking is, what is the advantage of doing animal is equal to cat? What special characteristics are obtained by doing so? We will discuss all these things. Okay, we will discuss all these things. We are inside. I mean, we are discussing about inheritance only, right? We will discuss all these things. Okay, in our later classes. Okay. So okay, I want to take this particular topic tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow we will start from super keyword, and we will try to understand what is the different uses of super keyword. We can use it for calling superclass constructor. and superclass members. Okay, and before finishing, let me try to explain one more example. That is our, let us close this. Okay, we have, okay, so we have shape class. So it has its own shape, length and breadth. Okay, so it has only 2 dimensions, length and breadth. Okay, let us see what are other things are available here. So this is your default members. You have getters and setters for the same thing, which are public, and you have one default constructor, and you have another constructor which initializes length and breadth. Okay, another class rectangle extends shape. Okay, so it defines its own type. This is specialized version, right? This is special rectangle is a specialized version of your shape. That is why it has defined its own specific thing associated with rectangle. That is your type. Okay, so it also has its own default constructor wherein we specify type as null because this is the default constructor. Okay, here we specify, we have a another constructor, parameterized constructor, which takes 3 parameters, that is string, integer and integer, length, breadth and type. Okay, we are assigning those things, length, breadth and type, the respective values. Okay, then we have defined the respective setters and getters for type. Okay, we have another class which extends rectangle, not the shape, which extends rectangle. So we associate, that is called as colored rectangle. So we associate color to that one. Okay, we associate color to that one. Okay, this is called as colored rectangle because it has an attribute which takes care of the color of a rectangle. Okay, which takes care of color of rectangle. Okay, so it also has your default constructor, color is null. It also has your parameterized constructor which takes color, type, length and breadth. Okay, length, type and color. We are assigning those things here. Okay, and displaying those values. So getter or setter for your color. Okay, and then we can create different things and we can assign those things. This is your multi-level hierarchy of your classes. Okay, so super, I'm extending this with respect to super. So here I have commented super, here I have commented super. So what are we doing here? Okay, we have length and breadth also, right? We are not specifying that anywhere here. Okay, so whenever you call, I mentioned one more point, like whenever you are creating a sub-object, subclass object, before creating a subclass object, a superclass object will be created. Okay, superclass object must be created before your subclass object is created. Okay, so whenever you come to this particular point, say for example color is equal to null, by this time superclass object would already be created, and then we are going ahead with these things. Okay, similarly we are assigning, so these are all your not private members, right? These are not your private members, so you can access. This is also not private member, this is also not private member. That's why we are accessing and assigning those values whichever we get here. But what are we trying to do it? We are duplicating this code, right? Assigning length and breadth here, which is already there in this particular constructor. That is your length and breadth in this constructor. And then you already have, this is also duplication of code because you already have this code here. Okay, you need not have to write this particular code here. Okay, only this is sufficient. Here you have these two things defined here, shape, and this one defined here. Okay, I have mentioned all these three things here, and the four attributes are defined here, assigning values with these things. So is there any other way to do that one? This is the way. What does this do? It calls superclass constructor. Okay, we will discuss about this tomorrow. Okay, so this is one way, one of duplication of code. Okay, so how to avoid that one? Using your super keyword. We will see that one tomorrow. Okay, till now whatever we discussed, does anyone have anyone has any questions or doubts or need any clarification? Okay, Krita says no. So anyone has any questions or doubts whatsoever? Okay, yeah, I always get doubt whether I'm teaching properly or you're understanding or such things. Okay, so whenever I'm teaching, it means whenever you're not asking any questions, it means one of the two things, that I'm not teaching properly or you're understanding whatever I'm teaching. So you're understanding what are all the things I'm teaching. That's why you're not asking questions, or you're not at all understanding. One of the things. Which one I don't know, because all of you are hesitating to ask questions, or you already know Java. Okay. Okay then. So let us wind up this session now. Okay, and we'll meet tomorrow at the same time, 8:30, and we'll start the class by 8:35. Okay, with the same URL. You have already registered, right? With the same URL. Thank God we did not face any issues of other things, like we faced a couple of class sessions right before. So thanks a lot for attending this session. And I have one particular request, that is, if you don't see that session is being recorded below your panel, right? This particular panel, that go to training panel, please remind me to record it, because yesterday's class I forgot to record it. Only after the class is done, I was seeing, and that time I realized that I could not record. I did not record the session. Okay, if it is better if you, as soon as I start the session, if someone reminds me to record the session. Okay, that will be of great help for me. Okay, thanks everyone. Thanks a lot. Have a great evening. Bye bye.